Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to our Hangout on Air about writing with kids. My name is Kim Bidge and I write at The Educator's Spin on It, where we take everyday moments and turn them into learning opportunities. Today I have a special author that I had the chance to meet out in California this spring at Social Media Marketing World, and happens to be an editor at Social Media Examiner. And she's here though because she's focused on a project for our kids. She's written a book called Purple Pencil Adventures, and I just want to introduce you guys to her, and she's going to share some tips with us. So Debra Eckerling is with us, and go ahead, Debra, tell us a little bit about you and why you're here.
Well, I am here because I love writing, and I think everybody else should love writing too. So it's, in a way, kind of like a personal mission. Just because I've always, ever since I was a kid and I learned to write, I love telling stories and writing about them. And it's so important to get that writing muscle, start exercising it when you start very young. Now, I'm a writing coach as well. I've got a website and community for writers called writeononline.com, which started as a live writer support group, which became online, and now it's a little bit of both. And I wrote this book, Purple Pencil Adventures, Writing Prompts for Kids of All Ages, because why should adults have all the fun, right? So it's just a fun way to get kids interested in writing.
I love it. I think that we had a chat beforehand yesterday, and we both agreed that we're finding more and more in classrooms there's not as much time given for just really learning the skill of writing. Not necessarily learning the different styles of writing in school, but just to get your thoughts on paper and to have fun doing it. Is that kind of what prompted you to write the book?
Well, it is. One of the women in my live writers group asked me if I would coach her daughter because she's not getting enough writing in school. And I said, wow, this is a really wonderful opportunity because, you know, when you hear about one, you know that there are many more. So in addition to the coaching, I decided to launch purplepenciladventures.com, and I did a Purple Pencil Adventure once a week, just a fun writing prompt, and then I had more than enough. I said, okay, I'm the writing coach. I need to have a book out here. And this was just the natural one to start with because I say it's for kids of all ages. It's aimed at, it's a pre-teens, but there are ways to adapt them so younger kids can use them, but older kids and adults like them too. I have one of the reviews I got was, this is great, I can do these with my kids, which is kind of the point. They're aimed at kids, but they're not just for kids.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something about adults and kids. You mentioned kind of partnering together with the book, and I thought that was a really fun idea. Like, my daughter often sees me writing. You know, I write for our blog at The Educator's Spin on It, but I never co-write things with her, and I thought, what a fun way to take one of your writing prompts from the story and do it together and see what we come up with. And then, you know, 6 months down the road, do it again and see how we've grown and changed in our views and thoughts. So give us a little bit about your book specifically, Purple Pencil Adventures, and what it includes in it. Okay.
Well, it starts with the how to use it chapter, which is basically what I just said, which is if you're, I have a young cousin who sometimes she doesn't want to write, so she'll draw a picture to go along with the writing prompt, which is totally fine. And then if you're an older kid or even a grown-up and you need a little bit of extra writing juice going, write something fun and then use writing prompts and say, okay, I know I have this assignment to do, but if I start writing something fun, then I'm going to get excited about writing, and it's going to make the assignment I have to write a whole lot easier. So that's another, there's so many ways you can use the book to just inspire creative thoughts. And then the first chapter is all about journaling, because that's the first thing, and I tell this to my adult writers, I tell anybody, actually I say this to anybody who will listen. If you want to start writing, you start by journaling. And the reason for this is when you journal, you have material. You don't have to make things up. You have the things you see, you have the things you do, you have your thoughts. If you're upset, rather than getting angry, if you write down what you are angry about, it gets out of yourself. So you're like secretly practicing writing and you don't even know it, and you feel better afterwards. So there's so many powerful reasons for journaling. That's just one of them. And then after the journaling chapter, it goes into 30 creative writing prompts, and then 20 seasonal prompts, and then how to write your own writing prompts. So it's got a little bit of everything.
I love that, because you never know, especially if you're dealing with a child who maybe isn't quite as interested in writing, which magic plug will work for them. And so having a variety of ways to approach it is just giving you another tool belt as a parent and as a teacher too. You brought up a really good point about drawing pictures. My gear is a little bit to more younger children after teaching kindergarten for so many years, and now my son's in college and an amazing writer, I have to admit. So one tip would be writing from pictures. Like sometimes kids get frozen and they really just don't know what they want to write about or what to do, and having them start with a picture can help, and finding those prompts to continue to ask them about the picture. Well, how does he this, or where does that go, or what color, or what size, shape, and giving them all those different descriptive words, and then all of a sudden that story begins to write itself. Just want to say that, like, as a teacher, sometimes in my classroom you'd have a kid just frozen. I don't know what to write, and you just have to pull it back and say, let's sketch this out and see what we can do. It gets a little harder as the kids get older on really getting inspired by things. So having a way to every day have your child writing, not necessarily every day, but everyday moments, makes it funner for them, so that it's not this, oh, I got to get it done, I have to write this. And the other thing you brought up was journaling with a parent. I know I had a middle school teacher, phenomenal writing teacher, and I think I attribute her to my kind of love of writing. And she would, bless her heart, with all of her students, we would write to her and she would write us back. We were just talking about what was going on. It wasn't anything dramatic, but it was such a way to get my own voice out there in the world, especially when you're, what year was that, 7th grade, when you feel like this big in the world, and having an adult validate you for who you are. So I think breaking that down and doing it as a parent with your child, especially for dads who are looking for ways to connect with their kids, who may not be always at home as much as moms, or moms who are busy traveling, and that's a fun way. My son and I in high school would email back and forth, even though we're here all the time. That was a fun way for us to kind of check in with each other, and that's a form of writing. So I think in this day and age, writing is all around us. So kind of honing in and finding fun ways to do it is important. I know you and I were talking a little bit about careers and kind of where your background is from, and I wanted you to share a little bit about it and how you see being a successful writer making you successful in your careers in the future.
Well, and more so, yes, this is, God, it's only a half an hour. I could literally talk about this stuff for hours, days, whatever. But it's so true. When we were in college, writing was an important skill, right? When we were growing up, as we prepared for careers, I had a liberal arts degree, and I worked in publishing. I worked in business. I worked worked at a private school for a while, helping the director of admissions. I've had a lot of different, let's call them types of careers, in addition to being a freelance writer and editor, which I've done for a very long time. And everything that I have done, there has been some way to incorporate writing into it. So when the trendy thing for us Generation Xers is they wanted to hire people with liberal arts degrees for business because we had a command of the language. Now, it doesn't matter what you're in, you need to have a command of the language because you're going to be blogging, you're going to be marketing. To think about what the 5 and 10-year-olds are going to have to write, seeing how far it's come since when we were in school, what the young kids are going to have to do these days. Right now, you're in business, you need to have a blog. I tell that. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs because you're sharing your expertise, right? And whether you're writing a book or doing a blog or a hybrid of therein, or even if you're tweeting on a regular basis or doing Facebook posts or whatever. And my nephews, they're one's in high school, one's in junior high, and they're on Facebook, which is this is the example I use. They're on Facebook communicating with their friends. It's better if when they're posting or tweeting or whatever, they have a command of what they're saying, because it just looks silly. So it really doesn't matter. And things on the internet, boy, am I going down the rabbit hole. Things on the internet are there forever, so they may as well be right. So if you start writing young, if you're confident in your words, and this is why I like journaling so much, and I love the whole journaling back and forth. And the other thing you can do is just have journaling time at the same time with your kids. Say, okay, it's journaling time. We're going to take 10 minutes, and I'm going to journal, and you're going to journal. And you don't have to, you can share with me what you're writing, but you don't have to, because this is your private thing. Or if you want me to read, that's fine too. And vice versa with you and your kids. You have journaling time together. You work on the skill. And that way, when they have assignments, they're not worried about the skill of writing, because they're good at it because they journal all the time. And
everyday thought for them, yeah.
And the other,
oh, go ahead.
No, please, after you.
No, I was just going to say, recently we took a trip this summer it was a long road trip, and I didn't want my daughter to forget about it. And she didn't either, so she grabbed a notebook and kept it in the car, and while we were taking those hours and hour lengths of time, she would write down all the things that she remembered she saw and did and tasted. And so now we're going to kind of take photo albums and create a book from it eventually, but it's just fun to have her thoughts at age 8 getting down on the paper. So that's what I was going to add to the journaling part. Think about travels and special occasions or adventures you take, even just a trip to, the zoo. You can journal about that. So
really, it's anything. And that's the beauty of writing. And then the other thing too is, let's say your child wants to keep their journal private, which is fine. And I know as parents and teachers, you want to correct the writing to make sure it's grammatically correct. I say, keep the journal. If they're getting corrected in their other writing, the journal writing is going to improve anyway. So I definitely would not red pen journal, because I think you're just going to freak your kid out. And say, you know what, you could draw in the journal, you could write in the journal. And it's a good, I have journals that I kept in high school, because you had the good 7th grade teacher, I had a good creative writing teacher, and it was, you had to journal a minimum of 5 pages a week, and I thought I did like 15 to 20 a week was a lot, and one day this girl came in, she had like 80 pages, and I'm like, wow, thank God she's got that journal, because she has a lot going on, and she's got a place to put it.
Right. That's exactly true.
So whereas the journals can be the sacred place, you can have the purple pencil adventures be the ones, okay, we're going to pick a writing prompt, and I'm going to write mine. I, the parent or the teacher, will write mine, and have the kids write theirs, and then afterwards read them to each other. And that's the other thing. The written communication is important. The verbal communication is even more so. I did competitive speaking in college, and seriously, whenever I get a chance to tell, what advice, your kids need to be writing, they also need to be speaking, because written communication will get you far, oral communication will get you farther. So
an important thing to have. Yeah. Could not agree more. And another thing, just as a kid in editing your own work, that's a great way to edit your work. Like, you'll find many errors as you're reading it out loud to a parent or a friend or even yourself. So that's a great editing tool if you do want to take that prompt and make it a more formal piece. And as you were talking about correcting children's work, but mention that with the younger children, it's really important to not really mention anything as they're getting their thoughts down, and let them literally phonemically put everything down on the paper, because writing is a different skill than spelling things properly. They're two totally different skills, as well as reading. And in kindergarten, I have a lot of parents kind of question why we were letting things go if maybe they spelt the word went, W-T. Well, I'm like, those are the consonants they heard, and that's what they're putting down. We'll get the rest as we go and build up, but it's really important for them to have the confidence to just write what they hear, write what they think, with the little ones and the grown-up ones too. We all write a lot better. We don't think anyone's reading. We kind of flow a little better. So.
And that is one of the other great things about the net and blogging. It's okay. It's not only okay to write the way that you speak, it's actually better. Because when you're blogging, you are engaging with the people who are reading it. And if you're writing really grammatically correct sentences that are very stringent, who cares?
We want everyone to come in at the end of the day, We want to relate to others, especially in writing and in books. Some of the most successful books is because we can relate to what they're writing about. So we kind of went off on a tangent on all these fun things. I know we were going to play a little game with your book on Let's Pick a Prompt and talk about how that's a way to play with your kids, too. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, first you need to pick a number, 1 through 50.
50 prompts in the book. That's a lot of prompts.
And there's extra credit, too, so it's actually a little bit more.
We'll pick number 11.
Okay. Number 11.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
I play this. I lead a monthly hangout in LA for writers and other creative people and entrepreneurs. And when I was working on the book, I would say, okay, I'm going to give you an example from the book today. Pick one. And it was amazing because the people, they would inadvertently pick a good prompt for them. So let's see. Your number 11 is sports. Are you ready to play ball? It's fun to get up and run around. It's also fun to go out and watch a game. Do you like to play sports, watch them, or both? Do you participate in team sports, football, baseball, basketball, or does your interest lie with individual ones, such as track, gymnastics, or bicycling? What is it about certain sports that you like so much? The best time to write about an activity is right after you finish. Whether you're playing or watching it, go out, have fun, and then write about it. So
that's a very detailed but broad prompt about a topic that we can all relate with, sports, which is funny. My in-laws just arrived from India, and that was the thing my kids are most excited about, was to be able to go outside and play sports, ball, soccer, bicycling with the kids. Yeah, so very excited. And then my son just signed up for another little soccer group in his college this year. So sports is definitely something we love to integrate into our family. So, but I love that there's so kind of lots and lots of options within one prompt. I know a lot of times some of our standardized testing, when we have these formalized writing prompts, it's like nothing to go. You read it and go, oh my, how am I going to write about that? So this opens up lots of ideas.
And the great part is, you go through the book, and then when you finish, you can go through it again, or you can do them out of order. And the other thing is, I have to do just a little show and tell. So it's an ebook, so throw it on your phone, throw it on your tablet. If you're waiting at the doctor's, or if you decide to take an emergency trip to the park and just sit out that emergency trip and just have a picnic with your family and just do something fun on the spur of the moment, say, hey, let's take a couple minutes and either pick a prompt for the book or just sit down. Okay, what do you see? What do you hear? What makes an interesting story? And it's also a mixture of fiction and nonfiction, because you can say, okay, what do you see? and have your kids just take a couple minutes. Okay, now let's write a story about that. So it's really just, and that's kind of why there's the Write Your Own Writing Prompts chapter. Ideas are everywhere. Just look and play and have fun and pick a number and go through the book and then start over again, because it's always going to be new.
I love that. One thing that I would throw in is always have a little notebook in your purse or in your kids' activity bag where they can open it up and start writing. I know at least my heart breaks a little bit when we're all sitting at restaurants and you see kids sitting on different tech versions of things at the table. And you know, these are the times where we build readers and we build writers at the dinner table, sitting, waiting there at a waiting line. You know, I love tech. It's you know, surrounding us and all around, but also always have the other things available too, whether it's a hands-on thing for your child to manipulate, because we're working on handwriting muscles. Like, that's another whole nother topic on writing. You know, all those skills are developed very early on with your young child, playing with Play-Doh and, you know, all those things. They need those experiences, but also having, you know, cool tablets to write in with cool pens or crayons or pencils is important too. So I love it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I even if I have a small purse, you know, I'm a grown-up, don't tell. I have index cards with me everywhere. I mean, I have my little notebook that's there for everything, but I always am raring to go and ready to write if something strikes me.
And that's how you build writers. I know, you never know, and we want that to happen with our kids too. So it's important. Another thing, just a little tip, is having your kids journal about everyday things, but also writing stories about everyday things. With the younger children, I actually write the text for them. We sit and type it up on the computer, and then they publish their own book, and it's almost many times their very first book they can read on their own using those sight words that we're focusing on in kindergarten and first grade. It's even fun though. Like, I pulled this one. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it's my daughter wrote a picture about her Halloween costume, so that's coming out soon. And like, literally, we just picked a character and what happens with that character, taking it away from, you know, maybe if it's a movie character, write your own story, write your own plot line. You know, our kids love TV. Expand those ideas. Those are all stories on TV, and talking to your kids about that the movie started as a story. Somebody wrote that story. How would you have changed it into a different story? Or how could you extend it? Or I know my daughter last night said she loves the movie Frozen from Disney. She said, I would really like to see how she got her powers. Like, she's like, I want to go back before this movie started.
So excited. That's awesome.
I'm like, write it down. Let's come up with an idea. I'm like, you know, and again, down the road, you never know. Companies need pitches. So we'll have to see. We've been talking about what happens afterwards, that we'd love to see that story. So I hope they expand on it and build some math lessons from the whole thing. So it should be fun. Any other things that you wanted to share with everyone? I know we've got like 5 more minutes.
Any other things I wanted to share?
About the book, about writing with your...
I think just I think that the whole thing about writing that everybody forgets is that writing is supposed to be fun. And if you're a parent and you don't like writing, I can't tell you to, no, you have to start liking to write right now. See how many times I can incorporate the word write into a sentence in different spellings. But if you're a parent and you don't like to write, try to like it.
Fake it.
You know?
Fake it.
Or fake it. Fake it till you make it. Because it's sort of like, if you approach writing as a chore, your child's going to pick up on that. And they're going to think that, oh, well, Mom doesn't like to write. Dad doesn't like to write. I shouldn't have to write. And I'll reiterate, in the future, now and in the future, careers are going to have more writing involved. It's just, and it's kind of cool if you think about it. The technology is what is forcing people to write more. So it really is such a contrast because you think of tech as a non-personal thing, but because of it, there's so many more opportunities for people to write. So
I
if you're
think
a parent,
it enhances word choice too, like sitting there thinking about what you're going to tweet out. That's a powerful way of teaching a child to choose your words. You know, like I have to really think, how can I get that done in the quickest amount of words? And I think before we could just ramble on and on and on and no one really cared, especially, you know, but with Twitter and even Facebook posts, your word choice is key. So it's important.
and you bring up something else, is that brainstorming. So I just read a writing prompt that could go in a bazillion different directions. So start with, okay, we read this prompt, what are the different things we can write about? So brainstorm a list, and then just either go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or put your finger down the page and hit one. And then next time, okay, do you want to do a different writing prompt, or do you want to do another sports one? Because you have the list. And that's the other fun thing about brainstorming. When you brainstorm, you should brainstorm at least 5 to 10 ideas, because you'll get the first couple off the bat, but when you force yourself to think a little bit further, you're going to come up with some creative ideas.
I love it. I see one of our friends just left a little comment for us. Kristen said hello to us and just talked about how she's developed as a writer too. We're looking forward to seeing your book coming out soon too, Kristen. I think as we end, we wanted to talk about something special we were going to do for all of our viewers and readers of our sites. Did you want to share what we're going to do?
I do want to share. Or do you think we should share, or should we just keep it between us? Now we should share.
It's not as much fun if we don't share.
No, I would like to give away a book, but I'm going to make you write for it.
She's giving you homework.
I'm giving homework. I'm very, very for giving homework, but I also give out gold stars. So you come to my group in LA. This started because one day someone said, "When are you going to bring in gold stars?" And I started bringing gold stars because a lot of the work that I do with adults and kids, it's writing, but it's also based on goal setting. So if you have something you want to do, and setting a goal as a writer, let's say you have a kid who just does not like to write. We'll go back to the contest in 1 second. You have a kid who doesn't like to write. Make a goal of, you're going to write 3 times a week for 10 minutes. It's not a huge amount of time, but it's enough to get them excited about it, and then hopefully they're like, oh, could we write an extra day, or can we write a few more minutes? And you want to make the goal achievable so they'll surpass it, and then you can set new ones. So to the homework, the writing assignment. So for this contest, you need to tweet to either Kim or to me why you want to go on a purple pencil adventure. So that's not a lot of characters, and you can be as creative as you want. We'll pick one at random. So you just need to tweet at Educator Spin on it, or at...
This is Educator Spin, just so you know, on Twitter. And what
Educator Spin at Purple Pencil ADV.
Okay. I'm sure if you type our names too, you'll find us on Twitter. And I'll leave a link to all of this on the event page and on our website too. I'm going to be writing more about tips for writing with your children that are preteen and younger. There's always ways to adapt it to make it harder and easier on kids. And I think, Debra, you said you're going to include it on your site as well, right?
Yes, I will include it on purplepenciladventures.com, and I'll also share it on Write On Online, which is my writers community. I want to give one more extra credit assignment, just because we were talking about this before, about prompts being everywhere. So, and anybody who wants to leave a comment on this would be fun, is to write a short story, maybe 100 words, and the topic is spin, in honor of the Educator's spin on it.
Topic spin. Let's see. They can leave it in the event page if they want to, or email it to me. I'm at kimvidge@gmail.com. So, well, Debra, thank you so much for coming and sharing about your book and writing your book for our kids and doing the giveaway. I hope someone enjoys, entering and the chance to do it with their own children at home. Just thank you for being here. Any
Thank you
last
so
thoughts?
much. Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. And I think we should add on the contest, you can tweet it as a parent, or you can ask your kid why they would want to go on a purple pencil adventure, because that's fun too. Writing is all about having experiences and sharing it with the people that you love. And then when you write it down, you can relive it over and over again. So that should be, it will help you in your career, it will help you in life, but to be able to bottle up the memories that you have with your family and have them written down forever, I mean, that's just all kinds of awesome. Everything else is just the icing on the cake.
I know of all the things I kept of my son over the years, it's all of his stories and poems and writing that I've kind of huddled and kept the most of. I can take pictures of artwork and consolidate it, but it's the writing, that window into your child's mind at that given time is something you can never replace. So it's really a treasured part of childhood. And as you can see, it's going to follow us all through adulthood and the careers that we lead. So thank you so much, Debra, for being here, and we'll share the information with everybody.
Okay,
Bye,
thank
guys.
you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.